Hello YouTube, my name is Sarah if you didn't know, and today's situation is going to be discussing my 2-month-long no-buy. So basically what a no-buy is exactly what it sounds like. You abstain from buying anything or maybe specific items for a certain period of time in hopes to fix spending habits, maybe save money, maybe pay down some debt. There are tons of reasons why somebody might do a no-buy. So today I'm going to talk about why I did mine and my top 5 tips to getting through a no-buy.
I wanted to quickly say that this is a very vulnerable topic and just disclaim that this is not something that I'm super proud of. It's also not something that I've talked to a lot of people in my personal life about. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this issue, dare I say, that I'm struggling with in this journey that I'm on, I would love if you were just respectful and kind of this, because I am finding that more people in my personal life are learning about my YouTube, and as exciting as that is that more people are getting to share the thing that I'm excited about and kind of my hobby, it's also scary that I no longer have that anonymity online and can kind of just connect with the people that I've connected with thus far, but now it's kind of spilling into my personal life. So if you are someone who I know personally, please just be kind and know that I am doing my best and I will continue to do my best. So yeah.
For me, I chose to do a no-buy with clothing, and specifically from Lululemon. I did keep other clothing stores open, but I didn't want to tempt myself, so I ended up really not buying any other clothes except for one item in the past 2 months. So at the end of
December,
with Lululemon's Boxing Day sale, the end of November, Lululemon had a Black Friday sale. I realized that I was buying so much clothes in such excess that I had a bin of clothing that the tags were still on months later, and I had no intention of wearing them anytime soon. I was starting to just buy and buy and buy so that I could make YouTube videos, or so that I could get that quick rush of, owning a new item, or so I could have a package coming on the way. And I realized how incredibly toxic this was, because at the start of the pandemic, I was pretty good at managing my money. I have never been that good at managing my money, and I've always had a little bit of a shopping problem. And when I get upset or when I'm dealing with hard things, I tend to spend a lot of my money. And that has come back to bite me a ton of times by not having proper savings, not being able to pay off my credit card at the end of the month, not being able to buy textbooks at school. And I've been struggling with this since I was 18 and got a credit card, and now I'm 23 and I'm still having the same problems. To point out, if you're having a spending problem, especially with clothing, you are not alone. A lot of people use clothing and spending money to deal with issues, and I'm really trying to get on a path in my life where I stop using spending money and buying clothing to fulfill a space that's missing, and actually get to the root problem instead of just buying a new shirt and hoping that, I move on from whatever I was upset about. So at the end of December, after Christmas, after buying all these things from Boxing Day and Black Friday, I decided that I was going to go on a 2-month-long no-buy. And so January 1st hit, I was excited to start, and then January 2nd came and I had already failed. So in all honesty, I bought 3 things January 2nd, the second day of my no-buy, and I was so ashamed. I felt so guilty. I was so upset. When the items came, I didn't even want them, but the problem is I work at Lululemon, and when we purchase stuff, everything we buy is final sale, so we cannot return it because we get a staff discount on it. I was hooped, and it was my own fault. I know what I had set in place for myself, and I failed. That made it really hard to want to continue. I was just like, I can't do this. Very clearly I have a problem. At that point, I realized that I needed some help, and that's what set in motion the ability for me to go 2 months without buying any clothing, and specifically from Lululemon. So that's kind of my story, and if anyone else has a similar problem and wants me to go more into depth about what my time from 18 to 23, having an issue with credit card debt, having an issue with shopping problems, I'm happy to go deeper into that and have that honest conversation with you guys, but today the point is about a no-buy. So now I'd like to move on to give you my top 5 tips of how I made it through this 2-month-long no-buy. So let's get into that. So the first tip I have to making it through any length of a no-buy is having accountability. I desperately needed somebody who cared enough to care about my spending habits to help me out. So I enrolled my boyfriend in my problem. I let him know what was going on, why it was a problem, and how I needed him to help me. And I think the how you need help is so important because I didn't need somebody to get mad at me and be upset with me because I felt that enough for myself. I had so much guilt and anger toward myself for spending money that I truly didn't and do not have. By having my boyfriend just be there to be somebody to answer to was really all I needed. I needed to know that if I bought something, I was going to have to tell him, and he wasn't going to be mad but disappointed. And I know how silly that sounds, but that disappointment and that feeling of knowing that I'm no closer to my future by owning another shirt, by owning another pair of leggings, and the future I want to have for myself and my boyfriend and the life that I hope that we build together, that's where that disappointment came from, because I want to be able to eventually one day, move out with him or buy a home with him, and every time I buy something I don't need, I take us further away from that. And further away from the success I want to have in myself, completely independent from him. And the second level of accountability I needed was at work, because I work at a clothing store, and of course it's very hard to avoid your triggers when you work in them every single day. I needed a manager who I'm quite close with to just work alongside me, not sell me stuff, talk me down from stuff, not text me links of new items that came in that we're both excited about. And actually it turns out she ended up joining me on this journey. So it was so helpful to have someone that I'm in store with almost every day also be doing the same thing, and for us to be able to work with each other and be excited for each other. And we both are super happy that we did that, and I'm so grateful for her for helping me out there.
The last level of accountability that I forgot to mention was giving my credit card to my brother, whom I obviously trust, and he has been holding on to that for a couple months now so that I do not have that card to be spending on.
My second piece of advice is to simply not go anywhere that you can spend money in the ways that you don't want to. And with COVID, this could be easier for you depending on what you're trying not to spend money on. But for where I live, going to the mall is one of the only things we could really do in the past 2 months, because it's only recently that we've been able to go outside and see people, and it's been very cold, like minus 30 degrees Celsius. I live in Canada. So we couldn't really go outside. The mall was really the only inside place, and I used to go to the mall for fun, just to walk around, check out stores. I had to completely stop that. And like I said, I do work there, so I would intentionally show up for my shift just enough time to get in the door on time, and I would immediately get out of the mall right after. Whereas
before,
I would spend a lot of time walking around, checking out new stores, looking for sales, and I had to completely eliminate that. I could not be in the mall for any reason, especially not by myself, because I fully felt like I would spend money. If you are struggling with buying food at restaurants, stop going to restaurants. If you are struggling with, getting your nails done too much, stop going to nail salons. If you are struggling with anything like that, do not go to the environment where you're going to have an issue. And I know how simple that sounds. Just avoid those places as much as you can, and do not go to them alone if you have to go there. My third tip is to figure out which way spending money feels easiest for you, and don't do that. So for me, I can spend money on my credit or debit card and it doesn't affect me whatsoever. It feels like I didn't spend anything. It feels like complete fake money to me. I have no issue. Any price I will swipe or tap and I'm good to go. But if I have $100 in my wallet, I refuse to spend cash. I hate spending cash because it feels very real to me. The transaction is so clear that I had $100 and now I have significantly less than that because I spent it. And after I figured that out, it was very important to me to stop carrying my credit cards specifically, and I stopped carrying one of my debit cards. So I had one debit card with me and I carry cash now. I carry the cash that I do not want to spend, and I've had the exact same $50 bill in my wallet for 1 month. If you figure out which way is hard for you to spend money, try to do that. Make sure you always have cash if you don't like to have cash, or make sure you never have cash and you always have your bank card if you don't like to spend money on your bank card. So this fourth tip is definitely more directed at people who are having issues with clothing specifically. I have stopped doing my laundry as frequently as I used to. Now I do my laundry every like 2 weeks, whereas before I used to do my laundry every couple days. Why this has helped me so much is to actually show me how much clothing I have, because if I can go 2 to 3 weeks without doing laundry and still have a full closet, that is a huge problem. Like, I kid you not, I could not do my laundry for probably a month and still have clothing completely full in my closet to wear. And that's kind of what made me realize how much overconsumption I was doing, how much abundance of clothing I had. Is like, you know, if I can work out every other day, I can go to work, I can maybe like have a nice dinner and still have clothing in my closet, that's too much. It really is too much. And think like, okay, I haven't done my laundry in a month, but I still have 3 black shirts in my closet. How could I possibly need another black shirt? Trying to implement something like that hopefully helps you see how much overconsumption you are doing. 2 weeks to a month, I feel like having a closet that covers that is basically all you need. When you can cover multiple months at a time without doing laundry, that's a problem, and that's what I had. So I found that that tip really helped me out and is still helping me out now. And again, this final tip is more specified to clothing, but my fifth and final tip for getting me through a no-buy was getting rid of clothing during this time period. So I've got onto Facebook Marketplace and Poshmark, which I have made a couple videos on, so make sure to check those out if you're interested. But by making these profiles and listing clothes that I'm not wearing, I made myself quite a bit of money in the 2 months off of the clothing that I was not wearing. I was able to donate some stuff, which is great for the community, and able to just get rid of some stuff I wasn't wearing no matter how long it sat in my closet. And why this was so great is because doing this no-buy, I wanted to pay down some of my debt. And so by getting rid of the items that caused my debt, I was able to make money to pay it off, you know, put into my savings. That to me is a super important tip when it comes to a clothing no-buy, is actually making money off of these items and even giving myself a little bit of money that I can spend when this no-buy is over and kind of congratulate myself, which I think is really cool. So now I'd like to quickly touch on what comes after this no-buy. In my opinion, if you spend a certain amount of time not buying an item of clothing or food or whatever it may be, and then the immediate day after you're done, you go back to spending the same amount, if not more, it didn't work for you. And what I really wanted to make sure is when I go back to buying clothing, I'm buying it with intention, I'm buying it because I like it, I'm buying it because without it I actually would be upset. And I'm buying it knowing that I'm going to get its full use out of it and not be reselling it in a month from now. I'm still going to be asking people to keep me accountable, but I realize that I need to be the one who holds myself accountable. I'm not always going to have somebody with me or who cares enough about my personal finances to help me out. And so I need to train myself to be that person for myself. So what's next for me is definitely taking way more time to think about my purchases, not impulsively buying purchases. A lot of times at work when something goes on sale or we get something new in and all of my friends start buying it, it makes me want to buy it. But I realized that like I never really liked it. I was buying it because other people were. And so that's where I need to hold myself accountable and say, like, do I like this? Will I be using it? How long is it going to last in my closet before I want to get rid of it? And really going through that like deep thought process with myself. I've also decided that I will not be online shopping. That's where I started to kind of tumble over like my birthday, Black Friday, Boxing Day, was allowing myself to online shop, and that way like just way more doors are open. If I have to go to a physical space to get something, that deters me so much. If I sit in my bed or on my phone and just order it, it's really hard to deter myself. And I decided the only way I'm going to online shop is if I've already tried an item on, I know that I like it, and the price is right. And only using online when it's like completely impossible or it's not for myself. I also would like to implement a tactic for myself where every time I buy something, I put that same amount of money in my savings, and if I can't buy it twice, I can't buy it once. And so those are kind of the top 3 things I'm going to be working on. So if you guys want more videos like this, or for me to talk more on this topic, now that I'm transitioning from a no-buy to a low-buy and what that looks like for me, I would love to do more of these videos. And definitely comment down below what your tips and tricks are for not spending as much money, saving money, and not buying as much clothing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.